Hello, welcome back. Episode 2 of The Honest Connection, where we talk about things that maybe aren't always supposed to be spoken about. We talk about your trauma, we talk about your experience, and hopefully anybody listening can take something away. I have a very, very special guest. I'm a little bit starstruck myself, and I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Well, hello, I'm Sarover. I was on Love is Blind UK season 2, which was on Netflix. And since then, I'm just living my life, my authentic journey. And yeah, that's me. I can say more.
Um, well, hopefully you will as we go along, really.
Yeah.
But um, So like for me, when I first saw like the Love Is Blind trailer, I thought, you know what, Indian girl, this is a bit of a taboo, really. We don't see this stuff. Um, so what was it that made you kind of go on, and what was the thought process, and did you think about like what the future would hold after that or anything, or
Yeah.
how was it
So,
really for you?
yeah. Yeah, where do I start? So basically, yes, Indian Sikh girl, like born and raised here in the UK. However, very traditional values. Like, yes, live a modern life, but growing up, dating was just not a thing for me. Like, I'm the eldest in my family. So my two sisters literally cannot, they have a very different journey to me. But I kind of upheld the whole, you don't date, you study hard. Once you studied, the person will just end up being there and you marry that person and the families are happy and you're happy and that's how it goes. However, that just didn't work out for me. Like, I started to date because in uni, then my grandparents would try to introduce me to people, other friends or family, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm feeling anything for these guys that are being introduced to me. So I tried to date, but just wasn't meeting the one. And I used to have this massive tick box, like, we're talking, are the parents together? What job does this person do? What car do they drive? Are they the same caste as me? Like, it literally, this list was, and I don't even know castes, but I knew mine. So this list was like extensive. And obviously, if you're dating in the modern world with a list like that, what are you actually trying to achieve in a relationship? So I didn't actually fall in love. Yes, I had an ex. Yes, I dated, but it just didn't feel like it was me, if I'm going to be honest. I didn't enjoy the process of it. And then, long story short, hit 29, and the guy I was seeing at the time, it was very early days, but ghosted me. And once that happened, I was like, oh God, I'm going to be 30 next year. I'm single. I'm nowhere on this timeline of life that I predicted for myself. And now my little cousin's getting married, who's my mum's sister's son. So my mussie's son's getting married, and he's like, at the time, he was like 25. And I was like, oh, this is just not okay for me. Anyway, having all those thoughts, having that, that, internal breakdown. And then I was on my phone and saw an ad for Love is Blind. And I was like, oh, this is interesting because in America it's worked. Like, you have these marriages, they're lasting, people having children. So I literally applied off a whim. And next thing you know, I'm now about to sit on the show. And for me, it was, can I fall in love with someone who doesn't follow the tick box that I've been brought up to follow? And it was almost, can I allow my guard to go down? Can I see past what traditionally or culturally I'm expected to marry? And for me, that's why I went on it.
Okay. So you mentioned your timeline quite a bit there.
Yeah.
So I think we've all done it. We've all kind of had that thing of like, yeah, by the time I'm 25, I'm gonna be married, I want to have a kid, I want to have a house, like, or, like
Yeah.
you have this really big idea of what you want your life to look like. So if I can ask you to go back to whenever it was when this timeline was created, what did you want it to look like, and at what point were you thinking, okay, I wanted to achieve this by then and that by then, and what did
Yeah.
it look like at that point?
So in my 20s, I knew the timeline was you study, and as soon as you finish uni, you'll meet that person. By 30, you would have had the kids, have the house, you're married, happy life. happy everything. That's what I expected. And that timeline, I think it was just in like it's from the generations above. For most of our families, I feel like the generations above, they did live a different time of life. And I think we sometimes, people don't realize that when they put that timeline down onto us and the generations that come from like below us as well, we're following a timeline that just doesn't make sense anymore. Because back then, like my mum never got the opportunity to go to uni. She wanted to study, and it was nope, you hit 16, you get married, and that was that. So she said to me, of course, Rover, by 30, I would have had kids, married, everything. But she was like, but for you, that just doesn't make sense because if you go to uni, by the time you come out, you're already, what, 21? And now we're
Mm.
expected in that time now for you to do a great career, to settle down, to find your person, to get married and make everyone proud. So yes, when I look back at 29, I think I was having a bit of a, oh no, like I've been the golden kid all my life and followed the book, and this timeline has about 11 months left and it's not happened for me. So I hate the word timeline now. Like I am such an advocate to go against it because everyone's journey is different. Like someone could get married at, in their teen years, early 20s. They might hit my age and they're not happy, but they might not be able to leave that relationship now. So for me,
Mm.
I always say everything will happen the way it's meant to happen. We just have to stay strong and trust the process, trust our journey, and stay true to ourselves. So I've only been starting to be true to myself since 30, if I'm going to be honest.
Okay. Okay. I suppose it's always that thing, right? Where people, whenever anything bad happens to them, they always think, I thought I would have had it figured out by now. But I don't think anybody ever really does ever have life figured out, like no matter what, how old you are
Yeah.
and stuff. But the thing I was, because I know, like you mentioned, like your mum wanted to go to uni and basically wasn't given
Yeah,
the
she did.
opportunity because she was forced into a different kind of life than what she initially wanted. So
Yeah.
how much of the timeline that you had at that point was what you like? Do you ever look back and think, okay, is this what I wanted, or was this just what I was kind of like was pushed into me and like ingrained in me that I have to achieve this because I've seen it happen through generations? Or was it
Yeah.
your kind of thinking, or like where were you with all of that? So when you look
It's a
back
bit
now.
of both. Yeah, if I look back at it, it's a bit of both because for me, all the marriages above me were my parents' generation. So we're talking, my parents are in their 50s. So, oh, wait, no, my dad just hit 60. But anyway, mum's early 50s. So that generation, that's all the marriages they had. Below that, I'm the eldest on both sides of my family, actually. There's only, here and it's a bit of a colourful family, but I am technically the eldest. So if I'm next, all that I'm going to know is we follow that path.
Mm.
I guess if I was one of the younger siblings, I would have seen, oh, my cousins are dating, they've done this, they've introduced someone, it didn't work out. I would have probably had a different perception. But
Mm.
all I knew was traditional marriage. And also all my friends around me were all in relationships. Like they were dating since we were like in primary school. So I'm there thinking, I don't want to follow your path because I don't really think that's for me. And I think I'll get quite judged in the family if I do that. And I'm trying to follow your path, but it's not working out for me. And now I'm stuck in a what's happening? Am I doing something wrong? Am I not meant to fall in love? Is there no one there for me? Like so much, honestly, the anxiety I had just about living my own life was incredibly insane.
Mm. Mm. I get that. I've had that in my life when I've seen everybody around me move forward and get to places that
Mm.
you didn't necessarily think you were going to be in the same spot, but you thought like things might work out a little bit more differently than
Yeah.
what you thought it would. And there is a lot of pressure, and I feel like in our culture, in our community, there's way more pressure than there is in a lot of other communities and cultures. I feel like
Yeah.
we're kind of pushed into things and have to believe that. I remember being told that, have kids when you're young. You want to be able to play with your kids. You don't want to
Yeah.
have a bad back when you've got kids getting older. Things
Well,
like that.
funny
When you
enough, I have a bad back at 31. So like, what does that mean now?
But it is just like a thing. But like when like sort of before we start moving on to other aspects of timelines and feedback, but why 30?
I know. And I do what it is. I think it comes down to women's biological clocks, as the term is. Because when I look back on it, the main thing is that if I say to my grandparents, why would you want me to get married early? And it does come down to the fact of, well, if you want children.
Mm,
So I think that's what it is. Back then, it was, well, with the girls, they don't have jobs or education, so you need to get married because the man's going to be financial stability, home life stability. It was a different concept of what marriage was. Whereas nowadays, women can stand on their own 2 feet. Women are looking out for something different from a marriage. So yeah, so now it's different. But yeah, I think it was just all about kids, if I'm going to be honest. And I know some people in my mum's generation said, oh, well, we got told when we get married, that's when we can cut our hair, dye our hair, you know, do our eyebrows. Like marriage was seen as you become a woman almost. So whether you're 16, 17, it's better to do it sooner because, oh my God, you get to live this great life. But obviously, look back in it, like when they look back on it, I don't think that's, they didn't get to go to, the salon now and start dyeing their hair because they're married. It wasn't like that.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, is there is there a new timeline?
Pardon?
I know you hate the word, but is there like a new timeline that you have now, or is it just what life throws at you? Because you've dealt with a lot, and which we will get to, but like you've dealt with so much. Like, do you feel like it's scrapped? You don't have one anymore, and you just allowing life just to come as it goes, or
It's
is there something you
interesting
haven't?
because it is really interesting because someone asked me this and I was like, no, like my happiness is what I do now in life. Like what makes me happy, I go for it and I don't overthink it or try to worry about the future too much because if I worry about the future too much, it will take away from the joy in the present straight away. Like
Mm,
if I switch my thought now to, oh God, like what am I doing? I'll freak myself out and that's when the anxiety will start. Yes, I'm not silly to know that life does, I do want to settle down at some point. I do want to have children. And for me, people ask, like, are you going to freeze your eggs because you're 30? This is that whole timeline thing. And it makes you think, because I'm like, oh, am I being silly? Is someone going to listen to me and be like, oh, she's just, now what's she doing in life? She just does whatever. Like, what's her purpose? I guess my purpose is I'd rather be happy than following a non-existent timeline that someone else created um, for whoever. So yeah, I guess yeah, I just want to be happy, and I think that's really important because honestly, I'm so much more chill in life, and it's nice.
mm. Yeah, but I suppose the thing, like, what happened with you on Love Is Blind? Is that if that didn't happen the way it turned out, would you? Are you kind of? Do you ever look back and think kind of happy that that happened because now you've got like a new way
Oh,
of looking at life, a new lease of it, or is it more, or is do you still kind of carry that trauma a little bit with you as well, or how, like where are you at with that?
I am honestly, it's so scary to think if I didn't go through what I went through, I would have been the same person. The growth internally would not have happened, and I don't know what it would have taken in my life. And I'm hoping something else would have happened for me to realize what are you doing? How are you living this one life you've been given? What's your
Mm,
purpose? Because I was losing myself already in my 20s, not realizing. So I'm really grateful to that chapter so much. Like, yes, okay, you go on there, and of course, I wanted a husband. All I wanted was to settle down. I genuinely thought potentially that happened for me, but what I've learned afterwards is life changing. So I will be, no matter what emotional damage happened last year, forever grateful to it because I'm not the same person. It built me in a way that I didn't realize I needed to be built. So
mm, mm, mm. I get that. I understand. So, so in a way, it worked out okay, really, even though you
yeah,
at the
in a
time
crazy way. Yeah, like so
it.
many people, like someone said to me not long ago, I don't know where, God knows where, but they were like, oh, so you were on that show? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I've never watched it before. Like, did you win? And I was like,
Mm,
did I win? I said, oh, it's not that kind of show. Like, it's not like Love Island where there's like a couple that wins. But I was like, I guess if you're the couple that can like stays together and you're still married after the show, that's a big win in itself. And then I was
mm,
like, but if I'm going to be honest, I said, I think I have one for myself because I said, like, I've learned a lot and I've seen life differently and I'm happy. So I said, considering before I went on there, I really was struggling quite a bit. Um, and God, yeah, I'm just not that same person. I'm grateful because it's built me, but yeah, I'm so glad I went through it.
Mm. So I know, like, going back to, I know you said you were feeling down and feeling a certain way about life before all of this happened. What did it feel like? Because I kind of get the vibe that maybe you felt like you were being left behind a little bit of, and life was kind of
Yeah,
going forward, and you were kind of like right here still, and everything
yeah,
was moving. So how does
100%.
that feel? How did that feel? Like thinking I'm nowhere near what I want to be at the moment. This is not what I thought was going to happen. How do you feel like looking back at that now? So.
Yeah, when I look back on it, like I was struggling. Like I was the person like attending all my friends' weddings without the plus one, and going to like, their housewarming parties, and I'm like, oh, like yes, I live at home. So, because for me, like it doesn't make sense. I would rather live with a partner than because I have a very chill home life. So it's not like I have an extended big family. I pretty much live in a house that is kind of mine. Um, so yeah, so I felt like a bit of a failure because I felt like, grandparents are getting older, other grandkids are getting married, and I'm just like what do I have to show for myself? And I think the external pressure from others and the external judgment from others, that's what I think caused my mental health to take its sort of low moments in my
Mm,
20s. Because when I look back on it, my mum and dad were very much like very supportive, very chill with us, and never put that sort of pressure on me, but it was everyone around them. And even if they didn't say it, you knew it. Like you would go to a family wedding and it would be like, oh, so like, have you met someone? Or, when is it your turn? And I'm like, "Ugh, like, is that all that matters in my life? Like, not, have you ever asked, like, how are you? Like, are you okay? Like, how's work going? How's anything going in my life? Like, there's a lot more to my life than just to get married. So, yeah, I think I
mm,
was struggling from external pressures coming in.
mm. Do you think, like, 'cause I know in our community, comparison just comes, pretty much comes with
Massive.
the skin color, right? You can't get away from it.
No.
But do you think it stole anything from you or took something away from you that you probably didn't realize that you had when you look back or anything? Or
Yeah, I think yeah, that whole comparison being compared to like, your cousins and etc. and society in general. I was being compared to my next door neighbor at times by my own dad growing up. He was like, well, she works at Tesco's and brings money home, and all that you do is study and ask for money to study. So, like I've had it all my life, and that obviously my dad now knows that was wrong for him to do.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, it does. It steals away from what you want to do in life. Like,
mm,
if
mm,
I look back on it, was I doing things that made me happy? Or was I doing the things I was supposed to do for others? Like, just anything like picking your GCSEs. Like, did I really want to do double science and things like that back then? Probably not. I loved PE. Why did I not pick the PE GCSE? So it's
mm,
things like that when you look back on it, where I was like, God, I really enjoyed certain things or wanted to do things and I didn't because of what pressure, society, expectations, cultural norms, like the whole shebang.
mm.
And when I look back on it, God, I was like, no wonder I was a bit of a anxious mess. Whereas my sisters were like, we're living our best lives. We don't know what Sarover's up to.
It's yeah, I kind of, yeah, I feel like for me growing up I always thought like, because like, I was like, it's I'm like a really weird kind of thing with my family where I'm like a first cousin because there was such a big age gap between my dad and all of his brothers and stuff. So like there's so many people around my age who were getting married and everything. I was just left right behind. I'm like, man, he's younger. He's like 10 years younger than me. What's going on?
Yeah,
And I feel like it does steal a lot from you because you start chasing things that you may not necessarily be ready for.
correct.
And it is a real hard kind of life lesson when you realize that, you've gone into something, you've gone really deep, and you're like, oh, don't know if I was actually fully ready for this, but now I'm in too deep that I can't turn back.
Well, it just
Um,
happened to my cousin, literally this
okay,
year. So
okay.
me and my cousin, same age, pretty much born a month apart. He lives in Scotland, I live here. And when I went on the show to film it, he was getting married that year. And it was a big surprise to me because I was like, wait, dude, like you're getting married. I was like, I didn't even know this was like what? Like this is crazy. And and it was just so sudden. And anyway, I come out of the show. Obviously, I had to miss this wedding for him, and I was gutted. And then I found out around Christmas time that he's getting a divorce or he's separated. And I was like, what? And obviously, we'll go back into it, but same time for me when my relationship ended. And I just saw him this summer, and I was like, what happened? Like, are we just copying each other in life? Like, be a bit light-hearted about it. I was like, we get married at the same time, we get divorced at the same time, we were born around the same time. And he just said to me, he goes, do you know what, sorry? He goes, I should not have got married. And I was like, why? He goes, I actually went for an arranged marriage and realised I gave into pressure and look what's happened. He goes, I shouldn't have done it. And I was like,
Mm,
do you know what? This is sad. I said, look at us, like we're 31, we're living modern lives in the modern world. And I did it my way and it didn't work out. And people look at that and be like, well, what did she expect? You did it the right way in some people's eyes, the arranged marriage, good family, good girl, good everything. And it didn't work out. And we're both sat in the same boat. So what does that show? It just shows everyone's lives are unique, their journeys are unique, and we need to just let people live the way they want to live because two people went and did two different things and same outcome.
mm, mm. Did you get what was it like when you told people, yeah, I'm going on Love Is Blind. I'm gonna get married to someone who I'm not gonna meet until they say, "Will you marry me?" What was that like?
So I didn't think at this point in my life, when I hit 29 and I knew I was going on the show, I didn't think about anybody else. For the first time in my life, I was like, I actually can't care less because if this is the mate it's meant to be for me, this is the way I'm supposed to meet my person, I want to choose love and happiness now. And it wasn't out of spite. It was more I respect my family and I respect everyone, but I really need to do this for myself.
Mm,
And my mum was like, "Look, I don't know what this show is." I told her watch 2 weeks, the two first episodes of any other season. It's the pods. I'll probably be home in 2 weeks. It'll be an experience. What are the likelihood I'm actually going to meet someone? That's what I
mm,
told her. With my dad, I didn't tell him because I was like, why would I tell my dad I'm going on a dating show? Now I'm going to have this whole conversation to explain the show, the concept, and what happens if I'm home in 2 weeks and I didn't meet someone? Why would I
mm,
put him through that as well? My sisters, they weren't keen. They were like, Sarover, you have you know, a very traditional sort of mentality. Do you really feel like you should be going on a show where anybody could be sat on the other side of that wall? And if you form a connection and that is someone you wouldn't even introduce to your family, how are
mm,
you supposed to navigate that? Like you're going to humiliate yourself, and we don't think it's for you. And I just thought, do you know what? Screw this. I'm doing it. Because at the end of the day, if I listen to opinions again, I was like, well, girls, I was like, if I listen to you, I'm going to, there's just no point. There's no point. So, yeah, I did that. And then to the surprise of my family, myself, I actually met someone. And that's when I had to then tell them and call my dad and be like, hey, dad, like, because I told him I was going on Fear Factor because I didn't want him to worry. And that was the only thing that came to my mind on the phone call. I was literally just driving. I was like, oh, dad, like, I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. He was like, where are you going? I was like, oh, like, yeah, like I'm gonna go and film something. You know the Fear Factor? He goes, yeah. I was like, yeah, yeah, it's a Fear Factor. And yeah, and that was that. So I didn't even know that it doesn't even air anymore, but it was the first thing I thought of. And then yeah, so when I finally called my family and everyone to let them know, because obviously you're filming, it's very busy, you don't get much communication with the outside world. I was like, hey, like just to let you know, like you've always trusted me. Please continue to trust me. I've never let you down before. You know, I wouldn't be stupid about things. I think things through thoroughly. I have met someone. He has proposed. I've said yes, and I do want to marry this guy in a few weeks' time. And yeah, it was a lot for them to digest. Like, my God, my phone was blowing up with my family. Like, what are you doing? We need to know more. Who is this guy? Like, oh, and do all the normal questions you would ask someone. All the
mm,
normal questions. They were not extra. They were doing it out of, well, you're our kid. Like, we need to know. You're my sister. Like, normally we meet each other as like partners or whatever. It was a massive shock
mm.
navigating filming, navigating this new relationship, and navigating my family and friends back home, the ones I was allowed to tell, because obviously NDAs, it was overwhelming. And my bless my dad, he wasn't too happy because he thought I would have trusted him more in life to tell him the truth. So he didn't want to be a part of it until my wedding day because he goes, well, if you've decided to get married and meet someone and you didn't want me to know about it, well, I'll see him on the wedding day. And that was the first time my dad was like a dad, because he's been a very relaxed, chill. My parents are divorced, so probably took a step back to let my kids be because I don't want to be the bad cop, maybe. So yeah, that was hard to digest because I was like, oh God, like my dad's been a natural dad. Now I need to navigate this, which we've never done before. So yeah, I feel like I lived 10 lifetimes in that one summer.
So I can't imagine how like that must have felt though. Like, because like everything you said, I didn't really get that vibe. That was like that. Like, obviously, we knew about the tradition thing because of that, the conversation that you had when the introductions all happened, things like that. But like, for me, the one thing I thought, and I don't know whoever's watching will agree with me or not, but like, it very much felt like you were all in. Like
Yeah,
you gave absolutely everything to
yeah.
make
And I
something,
did.
and
Yeah.
and but
So
like
all of
when
this
it,
was happening on the
yeah,
outside, but
mm,
that's how much you saw me being all in to be dealing with all of that. And I'm so
mm,
focused on my person. That's how
mm,
much I was all in.
mm. But it must have been like, and then what was it like when like you kind of you build it all up, and then you get to the wedding day and everything that happens, and like how's that? And you kind of because there is a point where the reality show ends. I know you get like the after the altar stuff that we don't see for a year and all that, but like what was that like? Because coming back home and knowing what had just happened and everything. Because I remember seeing the after show when you guys were in the studio, and I'm like, when it all because it starts off with you guys, and I was just like, what has just happened? I was like, what? No way. And I was
Yeah.
shocked. I was shocked that it all happened because I thought it was very much gonna be okay. Like things will work out, but
Well, that's what we expect, especially as being, I think, culturally, we would have assumed, like, both of them would never take marriage lightly. Like, if you're going to sign that, you're going to at least try to make it work. Um, and like families will be involved, and like that's what I expected and thought that was going to happen, and that wasn't the case. So yeah, it was my family was really great. Like everyone accepted it from my immediate family. They embraced it. They took it as they're married and that's that. Let's, go along with it and we'll support and we'll get to know, do a bit backwards and get to know. But then I guess in an arranged marriage, I pretty much did that because I've come home married. And
mm,
now it's like, hey guys, now you can form a relationship. And that's what arranged marriages are. Like, how much did the family and cousins and the friends and everyone know much about the bride or the groom when they get married in those situations? So I didn't feel like I did anything wrong at all. I thought actually traditionally I've done it pretty much how everybody wanted. But yeah, it was hard to navigate real life if I'm going to be honest, because it was such a high pressured short time.
mm, mm,
And maybe if there was more time in that process, which there will be now going forward in the new seasons, they give them a lot more longer to live together. Things could have been different, who knows? But I thought I met my person and that was that. So yeah, the fighter in me would have been like, you make it work, you do your best, and you need to know sometimes when it's just not working and when to, yeah, leave it be.
mm. Like with Love Is Blind and everything comes that fame factor and stuff like that. Is that
Yes.
something that how have you kind of coped with kind of going from just your normal self to suddenly
Yeah.
like you're in millions of households, not just in this country but around the world, know you, seen you somewhere. Like I'm sure there's moments where you're walking down the street and someone will look at you, be like, "Where do I know her from?" And those sort of moments. So what's that like for you now?
Do you know what? It's really surreal because it's like that people just watched me as a person. Like they just saw me talking to my family, talking to my friends, navigating a relationship. And to be recognized in a positive light for being yourself is honestly the most incredible honor because I wasn't performing, I wasn't a paid actress, I wasn't following scripts or a production character that they wanted. I was just being Sarover and that was it. So it does feel surreal. Like, there are days where no one knows who I am and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then there are other days I'm like, oh wow, yeah, but it's good energy. Anytime someone sees me, it's good energy. And I've always said to people, if you put yourself out there, you have to then respect if someone wants to talk to you or they talk about you, negative, positive, whatever it is, you put yourself out there. You have to have a thick skin now. I have to accept with that comes some people would want to see me on the street and have a conversation. And I feel like I do owe them that sometimes. And yeah, yeah, it's so surreal, honestly. Like when I look back at my life sometimes I'm like, what? Like, how is this even? Yeah, it's wild, but
Mm.
to be recognized in a positive way means at least I'm having a positive impact and maybe inspire people in that light. That's all you can want in life, isn't it? It's
Yes.
if you can't build a legacy in one way, at least build a legacy for your personality. And I'm just really grateful that that's happened. And if people didn't recognize me, that's fine because I didn't go on there for fame. I went on there to
Mm.
potentially, yeah, fall in love and meet someone.
But when you look back at sort of, you went through your list earlier and things like that, like, and it very much felt like you were very rigid in that at one point. And
Oh, bless
was
it.
there
Yeah.
anything like, were there things that happened during that time that maybe we didn't get to see and it didn't air or anything that you look back on, you think, how did I put up with that? Like, I should have walked out at that point, or were there certain points? Because I feel like with relationships in general, I feel like I'm very much the way you said, like, make it work. You know what I mean? If that is your
Yeah.
person, you will find a way.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, not everybody is built that way, and very much of like, yeah, I'm going to bail whenever they first chance they get, the first chance of any trouble, we're going to bail and everything like that. But was there any moment that you thought, yeah, this isn't for me, I want out, I want to leave right now, I can't do this, like?
Yeah. Um, yeah, there was actually moments on that show. So the day we move into apartments, I felt like an energy shift. Um, and there was something in me that just felt like, what's happening here? Like, is this the same? I questioned the person I was with on that day when we moved in. And I got reassured pretty quick within like a few minutes, if I'm going to be honest. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'm just overthinking it. God, I listen to my intuition, my gut so much more now because I think that was my body feeling a certain way. I pick up on energy quite quick. And then there was a moment at the wedding, and it was like it was such a happy, lovely day. And I think it's just it was an energy. I don't know, I can't put pinpoint on it. But when we look back on the show specifically, I've skipped actually quite a bit. The whole thing about usual types, when that came up in my situation, that to me, I'm like, Sarover, like, bless you. Like, you were so naive. And you just assume that someone who lives in Manchester, they just don't know, in a village, sorry, in Greater Manchester, they just don't have Indian people there. And that's why probably someone's never met an Indian girl. Like, that's how
Mm.
naive I was. I should have known from that. Someone has a type, and that's okay. It's not a red flag to have a type. I'm not that person's type, and I need to hear them say that, whether they're reassuring me anyway. You know what I mean? So there were moments with my mum when we have a chat and things were mentioned, and I thought, did I really just accept that? Obviously, there was more to that conversation, but yeah, you look back on it, and I think yeah, I wanted to always be in a relationship where someone looks after you because I've always done that for myself. And I think I almost allowed someone to actually take over for me and lose myself. And then, yeah, you see like a sparky, open person at the beginning. And then towards the end, I just go completely within my shell yeah, it just shows I lost myself in that relationship. So yeah, there were moments where I could have probably spoken up a bit more and I didn't. And I've learned speak up now. Don't be scared to ask questions. If it's meant to be, ask the hard questions, it will be. So
Mm. I guess, was there, when it all ended and, like, you came back home, the camera stopped rolling, um how did it feel? Like, did you feel like you had to start again now? Was there that kind of feeling, or was it more of like, like how do you look back at that relationship? Like, do you look back
yeah,
and think this is a really important part of my life, albeit I suppose people will say, they might say like it wasn't real, it was just on TV. There's that aspect of opinion
yeah,
as well, and but you also have the aspect of people, of yourself, of you're thinking, well, it was real to me, and now I've got to start again because you were all in.
Yeah.
Where were you with all of that? If you look back at it now,
So when I look back on it after the reunion aired, so my relationship ended in January last year. The
okay,
show came out in the August, and the reunion we filmed it in the August for it to be aired the week afterwards. So when I look back on, let's say, August, September, I was honestly, I was a mess. Like I was probably in one of my darkest places mentally, if I'm going to be honest. And it wasn't a great time. I was getting so much love and support from the public, being like, yes, you met someone and we're rooting for you. And then obviously it ends, and then I'm getting the whole, oh my god, we feel for you, and it was just I didn't feel like I had yeah, I felt like, no, if I look back on it, because obviously I have to really look back on it. Yeah, I did feel like, because in that time I hit 30 as well. So it was my 30th birthday. And I was like, whoa, like I'm having filed for divorce, my relationship's ended, everything I envisioned the day I got married has just gone. And I struggled and I turned to really unhealthy habits to get through the year. So when everybody saw me at that reunion, I was such a broken. I didn't even know how I sat there to say my truth and say what I needed to say, because as soon as I finished afterwards, I think I could barely even get out of bed. So yeah, I did feel like I had to start again. I felt like I hadn't seen how much growth I've had at this point. At this point, I wasn't growing at all. I was going back 10 steps mentally, physically, emotionally. So I had to rebuild whilst I was now in the public eye. So yeah, it was, honestly, last year was so tough. The love and support got me through it though from a lot of people, and they won't ever really know the extent. So yeah.
if and this is a definitely maybe something you might be able to answer, I don't know, but like, he if you had kind of just seen past everything and you were continuing all in as you were at the very beginning, and things he didn't do what he did, do you think you would have still been together now, regard like anything, or do you think at some point you probably would have cracked and thought, yeah, he is not for me,
Yeah.
like, or
At
do you
some
think
point I
you
would
would
have
have just
cracked.
yeah,
Yeah, at
and
some point I would have
then
cracked, because just in those 3 months of us being together, I'd completely lost myself. Like
mm,
I was losing myself quite a lot, and people were noticing. So yeah, I would have eventually had some sort of breakdown.
mm, okay. And just continue with starting again. Like, what advice would you give to somebody who's in their 30s? They're thinking, life's never going to be the same. I'm having to start
Yeah.
again. New beginnings, a new really. What would you tell them if you can give anybody advice right now?
I would say to them, number one, stop thinking about the future. It honestly takes away from where you are at in life. Because when you keep thinking about what the future should be, where you should be at, you fail to realize how much love there is around you, how much good there is around you, how much there is around you that you don't even know exists. You can find, there's just so much to do in the world and so much to see, and we get so caught up in the mundane routines of life and conforming and being there for people, and it's this person's birthday and that person's that, and we need to go and visit this person. That's not what life's about. Life is
Mm,
what makes you happy. Where do you get the love from in your life? And just focus on that, because it just enriches your life so much. And you then start working on yourself. You start working on your internal health and well-being. And when you do that, you become so much more content, that you let life then be as it's meant to happen, instead of rushing it, forcing it. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I have many moments where I'm like, oh God, like, am I ever going to meet someone? Am I even someone that is lovable for someone else? Like, can someone actually love me and be with me? Like, is that a thing? And then I also think, oh my God, am I ever going to have kids? Is that maybe not in my path now? And trust me, I have all of that happening on random days, which is why I do like to keep busy in a healthy way now. Because the moment I'm not, I'm like, oh, well, what's happening? Um, but it's normal. There's others out there. Just focus on your journey. Just focus on yourself and forget, it will be the way it's meant to be. We can't change it. We can't force it. Um, And just don't let those thoughts overtake you because it can put you in some dark places which you don't deserve. You have one life, just one
Mm.
life to live it, enjoy it. Um, so yeah, like this is why people say to me now, like, my God, Sophie, like, you're always smiling, you're glowing. And I think it's just because I've finally realized to just choose happiness in whatever way that looks like every other day. Some days it's a pizza and that makes me happy, but you know what I mean? Just yeah, just live life in a light-hearted way because it's very short. And you don't want to it's almost like to say to people like, and this is why I get passionate about this because I'm like, we don't know how long of life we have left, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and if we're still chasing a timeline, what happens if that timeline had ended for us and we where was the joy in our life, where was the love, where was all the good times? It got, shadowed by everything else. So yeah, just you don't know how short life is, so just make sure you enjoy life and don't think about the future in that sort of way. And if others put pressure on you, ignore it. That's their life and their insecurities and their anxieties. Don't let it affect your life.
Well, it certainly feels like you're in a much better place now. Um, and I suppose you kind of gave yourself that grieving period to kind
Yeah.
of allow yourself to feel what you feel. There's a quote I heard the other day where the opposite of grieving isn't happiness, it's forgetting. And I feel like you have got to that point where you've not necessarily forgotten everything that happened, but you've been able to take that certain part that you do remember into the thing and leave the rest behind. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's a really good and positive mindset to show to everybody, really. But like in
Yeah.
terms of the cultural expectations that come, and this as an Asian boy is so much easier than it is for a girl, right? I know that, and we
Yeah.
have it. We are very privileged as Asian boys to be able to and have a different. We're looked at differently, rightly or wrongly. It's just unfortunately it's just the way life is. But like, did you like? I know the difference between like when I got married, like, my sisters got married. It was very much like it was very different. Like there was not more pride. I felt like when the daughter gets married and things like that. And like,
Mm.
do you ever when everything had happened and the way it broke down, was any part of you thinking, like, not necessarily I've let anyone down, but did you ever think like, actually, they may not be proud of me anymore, or they may think, oh no, I've come back home, I my marriage didn't work out. Is how my parents, my family, my siblings, extended, are they going to look at me in disappointment, or are they? Was that a fear in your mind when you were going through everything you were going through?
Um, Honestly, at that point, no, for the first time in my life, because the minute I went onto that show, I was like, right, so your life from this day onwards, you put yourself first, and that's what you're going to do now, forevermore. Every decision now, you have to put yourself first. So when I came out of that and that relationship ended, I actually just felt sad for myself, first and
Okay.
foremost. I actually felt like, oh, I've let myself down. Maybe I should have asked more questions. I should have tried harder. I should have just seen signs. Like looking back at it, obviously I couldn't see signs, but yeah, I felt like I let myself down. And that was the biggest thing. I actually felt like I let myself down first, and those who were supporting me publicly. That actually was my first two.
Mm.
And then it was more because family, my immediate family were always going to support me no matter what, whether good times, bad times. I knew that support was going to be there. I didn't feel like I let them down. The wider family, they've been gossiping about me since God knows when. You do something right, you hear a rumor, and I'm like, really? I did that? You know what I mean? They're going to talk. People are going to talk no matter what you do in life. Whether you have the most successful job, marriage, business, they will talk. So
Mm.
for me, I
Mm.
just thought I'm so over the whole extended family at this point. Like, whatever, let them be. They've been saying stuff. So yeah, that was the time in my life I thought my growth has finally happened, where I'm not scared of the extended, wider everything. I'm actually more
Mm.
sad for myself.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I suppose you can never get away from the gossip, right? Like speaking
The
from
gossip
experience, I've heard,
happens. Yeah.
yeah, like I've heard things about me, and I'm like, wow, I must be some guy to be able to do all of this. Like I did
Yeah.
not know I could do that, and but it
Yeah. At
is,
one point, I lived at my grandparents' house for uni, and they were saying to my granddad, like, oh, like she's coming home late on these certain days. Like, are you sure? Like, she's doing what she's doing. I was wearing a netball dress coming back on the tube after a late match on the other side in East London, and I'm in my trainers with my bag, everything, and they're still telling my granddad that she's been clubbing or partying. That's what she does every week. Whether I am or not, I'm literally in my netball kit. So,
Mm,
you know what I mean? You just can't. You honestly, people are just something else sometimes. I'm so passionate about just let people talk because it's hilarious that you can do the best and they'll still find something.
mm, mm. So like with that kind of thing, so just sort of like a last sort of question I have, like cultural expectations is like, is there a line between respecting like where you've come from and not allowing it to dictate where you want to go?
Correct. I have a
Like,
lot of yeah, a lot of love and respect for my background, my heritage, everything. I just need them to allow me to live a life that's true to me as well. For example, I'm not gonna, I wasn't gonna go on that show and then start making out with different guys and start being inappropriate on TV and to let myself down. I just wanted to be respectful and I feel like I was. And that's that. So yeah.
okay. So like I know kind of talked about like the way you so you're in a really low place and a really like moment of your life where, things kind of just became a little bit too much at times. Um but did you think that do you ever grieve the person you were before all of this? Or do you ever look back and think I kind of
Yeah,
miss
I
that girl?
do. I don't miss her. I actually feel more sorry for her. There's a lot of like love for her because she just needed to be told like you're doing well. Like the way you live, you're doing well. Like just keep being you because she was chasing everything and anything just to make others proud. And it's sad because I look back and I thought, God, Swover, like, why were you not out with your friends more? Why were you sat there studying all the time? Yes, I had to study, but where was the balance? That's what it comes down to. I could have had a bit more of a balance in my life. And yeah, I feel like I had to live it the way I lived it. That's life. You can't go back and, rewrite your story. But I do have a lot of yeah, I do feel for her. Yeah, she definitely deserved to yeah, just take life a bit more relaxed and just let it be instead of trying to force it all.
Mm. Do you think that as Asians or Indians, do you think that we give ourselves enough permission to change our
No,
minds about who we want to be? And do you think that's more
not at
because
all.
of the cultural expectations of us, or is it more because we're always looking at the other people around us and thinking, oh, if I do this, I'll continue making them proud, whereas even though I don't want that?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. We've been
Okay.
it's you're inherited with those thoughts of do the right thing. That's what it is.
Mm,
And what is the right thing sometimes? And the right thing almost is isn't what's best for you. Um,
mm,
and I guess that's what there's a lot of sadness, I think. Like now I feel like I empower my own parents sometimes to just stand up for themselves and just be happy where they are sometimes. And, if there's certain situations at work or with family and relatives, I'm like, well, if they said that, what was your response? Then I'll just let them be. I'm like, no, 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 no. Communicate that upset you. So you say it in a respectful way. It's all about communication. And I feel like the right people listen and the people who don't listen, you don't need to emotionally detach emotionally from those people because obviously it's a matter of respect. And I do understand that our families there's a hierarchy at times. There's respect your elders, respect all of that. So you just have to emotionally detach to get through things, and that's what I would say.
okay. And so it does definitely feel like you've reinvented yourself, really. Um,
Massively, yeah, in a good way. Also, I'm gonna plug my charger in as we're still talking.
yeah, yeah, no problem. No problem. That was just going to be the question, really. Like, so in terms of reinventing yourself, it's like a two-part question, really. So, what was the hardest part of reinventing yourself? And now looking back, what is actually the most freeing part of that?
Okay, so the hardest part of reinventing myself was letting go of what others would think. Um, so that was the hardest part. And then what was the second part, the easiest part?
Just freeing.
Um, as in what did it feel like?
No, just like when you look back, like I feel free. Like the easiest
Yeah,
part of
oh
it
my
now.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the hardest part was letting go of the noise, everything, timelines, expectations, my own personal goals that I had when I was the Sarover from 2 years ago and before the show. That was the hardest part. The easiest part now is just life is just lighter. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's honestly, it's just so much more. You feel like you're at peace, you feel free, you feel there's no shackles off like chained to you, those invisible ones. And you see life differently. I take so
Mm.
much joy now in just the littlest things, which sounds so cheesy. But if I'm gonna be honest, I didn't care about going on walks back then. Like, walk outside, like, oh yeah, cool, nice day, whatever. I actually now have realized, like, enjoy life, all the little bits of it, because it's special. I don't take things for granted anymore. Like, like you said, if someone stops me and recognizes me and has a chat, like, I take that moment to be like, oh, this is really nice and friendly, and I'm connected with someone I probably would never have even known existed. Um,
Mm.
and like even us having this chat, like if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be sat here talking in a way that I never thought I would be able to talk in my life and connect with someone I never even knew was there either. So yeah, life is really special, and I do take a lot more for it. I take a lot more what's the word? Like, I recognize it more. And I appreciate it more.
Okay. So like, we got like, I think I've got one or two more questions, but like, what in terms of success now? Like just
Yeah,
forget about everything. Right, it's all done. We're moving forward with life now. What has your definition of success now changed?
massively. Yeah. Success before for me was very much based on numbers, very much based on title, income, materialistic things. Yeah, everything like that. Like, what they call social media sometimes a highlight reel. That was success for me. Now, success, honestly, is me being healthy, being happy, being present in the moment. Because obviously now a lot of my life is on my phone. And I'm learning to be a bit more present, like family and friends, and take a bit more time. Um, so yeah, I guess that's my parameters for happiness and success. Happiness is a parameter of success for me. So yeah, it's fully changed. And don't get me wrong, like, life is hard. Like, you have to work, you have to earn money, and obviously we all have goals, and you're trying to achieve them. So as much as I'm talking like everything's great here, yes, there is this reality where, all of that, I'm trying, I'm progressing, I'm working hard still, I'm moving the goalpost all the time, but it's just more of a balance now. I can be a bit more content, happy at peace, and still work hard. It's not now what it used to be. That's all.
Mm. And I suppose my last question would be if you could sit in a room with your 20-year-old self and just other people in their early 20s who have the word you hate the most, which is timeline, what would you tell them? And what would you tell yourself when you look back now and say about this timeline and figuring out life and just
Yeah.
basically just everything we've spoken about today?
God, 20-year-old me. If I could speak to 20-year-old me, I would say to number one, study hard, keep studying hard. It will pay off. Like, don't not study. Study hard, it will pay off. Um, Everything else will just fall into place at the right time. Stop freaking out. Because the more you freak out, the more you're going to be in this anxious cycle, and your 20s will pass you, and you'll look back and be like, oh God, like, how much of it do I don't even enjoy? How much happiness was I even happy at times? And yeah, just let life be, honestly. Let life be, and just, yeah. Yeah, she was actually, my 20-year-old self was actually at my grandparents' house studying for exams. I remember that. And I would be doing all-nighters, sleeping in their living room, onto the dining table to study, back on the sofa. The door would be, I would actually lock it from the inside of the room I would be in so no one disturbed me. I was in such a crazy time of my life, and I wouldn't even go out with friends. Like, if my friends are like, well, you need to eat, I'd be like, yeah, I can eat at the table. That's how much I've really put into my education, and that's fine. But I should not have been anxious during that time. I should have been able to study hard and still be mentally okay. So
Okay. And I suppose end it with what's next? What's next for you?
what's next for me?
What have you
Oh,
got
do you know what?
planned?
It's such a yeah, I am working on stuff. I'm someone who, when I work on things until it's all done, that's when I will sing my songs and praises about it. But I am working on stuff that make me happy. So yeah. But at the moment, I'm just trying to be authentic in the social media world, which is really easier said, no, hard. Wait, it's easier said than done. No, it's much harder to be your authentic self in a social
Mm.
media world. So yeah, I'm just trying to managed that, enjoyed that, and then also yeah, work on some projects that will come to light before Christmas anyway.
Well, I hopefully speak for everybody. We'll all look forward to seeing what's next for you. But with that
Thank
said, thank
you.
you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And to everybody who's watching, hopefully you took something away from today. And we'll catch you soon. But please remember to like, subscribe, and share and everything. And Sarover, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. But yeah, we'll call it there.
And then
See you later, guys.
cool.